Welcome to your Monday edition of FreightWaves Now. My name is Kyle Cunningham. Got some exciting news for you on the last day of the month, first day of the new quarter heading in soon. First off, let's hear from the carrier update. Welcome to your Monday carrier update sponsored by AT&T Business. My name is Kyle Cunningham. Got a lot to talk about today in terms of volume levels that are turning up in the center of the country. Let's go ahead and take a look at a head haul weekly update map starting this Monday out. Busy Monday, last day of the month, heading into a new quarter. As you can see, lots of red and lots of blue. What we want to focus on today are two of the darkest blue areas. That's going to be your Columbus, Ohio market and your Lexington, Kentucky market. Now let's take a look and see what's happening in one of those markets. Columbus, Ohio here, your green line, the top. This is your outbound tender volume. So the available loads coming out of that market. Huge moves up over the weekend. Your white line here, your inbound volume. Those are those inbound trucks, empty trailers, capacity to compete with, staying flat. The outbound rejections here are trending down after the weekend, but what you can see is that last time the outbound volume went right up, the outbound rejections were followed just a few days later. So if you're going to have capacity inside of the Columbus market, make sure that you try and get a little bit more on that, understanding that there are more options for you. Moving down south, Lexington, Kentucky, talking about outbound tender volume and inbound tender volume, nearly balanced, a little bit more outbound optionality for you. Your lead time under 2 days, keep that in mind. In terms of your outbound tender rejects, not a lot going on. But with that outbound volume picking up, this is a market that if you're normally inside of Kentucky, it's probably going to be pretty soft for you. In terms of rates moving up, you can see big moves up to about 5%. At about 5%, I would say it's going to hit another turn down. Talking about what's happening in the reefer market, you can see from July, took a huge trip down. Where we're at now at 18%, favorable to you, the carrier. As it hits about 19.8, expect a turnaround. As always, make sure you stay tuned to your carrier update each and every day to find out what's happening in markets all across the country.
Improve your fleet's efficiency with AT&T Fleet Complete, a 4G solution for tracking vehicles and simplifying ELD compliance. AT&T Fleet Complete, delivering fleet solutions for every business.
Hey everyone, and welcome to your brokerage update. I'm Zach Strickland, and I'm going to give you a quick update on what we're seeing in the country today as we start walking through our outbound tender rejection index for the monthly change for the country. You can see some of these darker blues on here popping up in Duluth, Minnesota, Quincy, Illinois, and all the way over here in Twin Falls, Idaho. So what that means is that we're seeing some regional disruptions in some of these areas. Duluth, Minnesota, not a big market. I'm going to dive into that one here in a bit. Quincy, Illinois is actually starting to come back down off of its peak last week. But I want to go into Pendleton, Oregon real quick because what's happening up here is continuing to grow. We're seeing increasing volumes in Pendleton, Oregon. This is the area where the Yakima hops are grown. We've got apple harvests kicking off right now. So this is going to be a big market to watch entering the month of October. It's the end of quarter, but the apple harvest season really doesn't start kicking until October. Overlaid on top of that, we have the Twin Falls market, which is where a lot of the potatoes are happening. So both these markets are going to be increasingly important to watch as we enter the month of October. It's a very heavy agricultural area of the country. Rejection rates should start to climb, although they haven't really jumped off the radar just yet. Looking in Duluth, Minnesota, this is a huge jump in outbound tender rejection rates in Duluth, Minnesota. It is not a huge market. If you look at the outbound tender market share down here, around 0.8% of the total outbound volume. But if you are managing a customer up there, which there are far and few between, you certainly need to watch this market to make sure that this area is covered for today and in the future. But there also may be some transactional opportunities up there if you are in the market looking for higher margin loads. That'll cover it for the brokerage report for today. Thank you for tuning in to FreightWaves Now. As always, hit subscribe on the YouTube button and follow us on all our social media outlets, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and have a great Monday.